The stars above burned like silent watchers as the war reached its final breath. On the broken surface of planet Xeron 4, the last stronghold of the Zarnic Dominion stood in silence. A thick cloud of dust covered the battlefield, where machines no longer moved and ships no longer flew. Fires burned low. Flickering in the remains of fallen metal giants dot among the wreckage walked Ren, a human soldier with tired eyes and a heart that had forgotten how to rest. His armor was scratched and darkened, a sign of how long he had fought. He was not the strongest or tallest, but he had something that made others follow him. He had purpose. The United Human Forces had spent 7 years fighting the Zarnic. These alien conquerors had ruled over more than 50 worlds, using fear and strength. Many races had suffered under them, but the humans had done what others could not. They had fought back without giving up, and now, because of that, the war was ending. As Rin walked through the ruins, his boots crushed pieces of enemy drones. Smoke curled around him like ghosts of the fallen. He reached the center of the battlefield, where the last Zarnic banner lay torn on the ground. He picked it up and stared at the red symbol once feared by entire systems. Now, it meant nothing. A voice came from behind him. "Commander Rin, the Council is calling. The war is over. They want to thank you." He turned and saw Nara, a field medic. She was one of the few who had stayed with him through the hardest fights. Rin gave a small nod. "Tell them I'll come. Just needed a moment." He looked at the sky again. For a second, he didn't feel like a soldier. He just felt like a man who wanted silence. But peace, it seemed, had a price too. The next day, Rin stood in front of the Alliance Council. Leaders of many races sat in a wide circle, their faces proud, curious, and in some cases, nervous. Humans were now seen not only as fighters, but as leaders in the new galaxy. A speaker from the Zarnic side stepped forward. His skin was dark silver, his eyes cold but respectful. "You have ended a war that lasted for generations in our history. No outsider has done what you have. You fought with strength. You fought with honor." The Human Council head, an older man named Elrin, raised his hand. "As a sign of peace and thanks, you may ask for a reward. Any reward, and we will honor it." The room grew quiet. Everyone waited. Some expected Rin to ask for power, land, or wealth. Others thought he might ask for a fleet of ships or a high title in the new government. But Rin surprised them all. "I want to meet Princess Vila of Zarnic." A strange silence followed his words. Someone from the side whispered, "The Forgotten One. She never speaks. She never leaves the palace." Elrin looked confused. "You're sure? Not Princess Aliania? Or the Zarnic vaults of gold? Or even the ring worlds?" Rin nodded. "Princess Vila." The Zarnic speaker's eyes narrowed. "She is not admired. She is quiet. She is considered a shadow of the court. That's why," Rin said, "I want to know who she really is." A few days later, in a grand hall on planet Sarah, Rin waited. He stood near a balcony where soft wind blew in. It was a peaceful place, full of light and green trees. Nothing like the battlefield. The doors opened. Zarnic guards stepped aside, and Princess Vila entered. She was smaller than he expected, with pale skin and soft gray eyes. Her steps were slow, unsure. She wore a long blue robe that shimmered faintly in the light. She did not wear a crown or jewelry. Just simple, flowing fabric. She looked at Rin. Saying nothing, he bowed slightly. "I'm Rin." She nodded. "I know." Her voice was soft, clear, but held no emotion. Rin waited, then said, "You're not what I expected." She raised an eyebrow slightly. "I often hear that." He gave a small smile. "I didn't choose you as a prize. I don't believe people are prizes. I chose you because in all the reports and all the stories, you were always missing. That made me wonder why." She looked away for a moment. Her fingers touched the edge of her robe. "You wonder," she said quietly, "because you think I'm hiding something." "No," Rin said. "I think everyone else was too blind to see something." That made her pause. For a moment, the breeze filled the silence between them. Birds flew overhead, and the sound of the stream below could be heard. Vila stepped forward. Slowly, "You want truth," she said. "Then stay." But don't expect me to be a story that makes you a hero. I've had enough of being a hero. Rin replied, I just want to understand. She looked into his eyes for the first time, and in that moment, something passed between them. Not love, not trust, but a beginning, a quiet beginning, and far away. In the shadows of old palaces and forgotten vaults, something ancient stirred. Something only Vila knew about, something that would change the galaxy once again. The palace on planet Sarah was calm, filled with green trees, white stone walls, and long quiet halls. In one of those halls, Princess Vila walked alone. Servants bowed, but none spoke to her. They never did. She was used to adopt. Vela was the youngest daughter of the old Zarnic Emperor. Her sisters were praised for their charm, beauty, or strength. But Vila was always quiet. She read old codes, studied ancient tech, and stayed far from royal events. She didn't dance or smile in front of crowds. To most, she was invisible. When the war ended, many expected her name to fade forever. So when the human hero was asked to meet her, the entire palace was confused. Some laughed. Others grew suspicious. One of her sisters, Princess Mila, had visited her chamber just before she left to meet Rin. Why would a human choose you? Mila had said with a sneer. He could have picked anyone. He must be planning something. Vila didn't answer. She never tried to explain herself. Words had no meaning when no one listened. Now, 2 days after her first meeting with Rin, she found herself thinking about his face. He had war in his eyes, but not cruelty. He looked at her, not with pity, but with curiosity. That was rare. She stood near the garden pool, hands folded. A soft voice spoke behind her. You like quiet places too. She turned. It was Rin. He wore a simple dark jacket, not his military armor. He looked more relaxed now, but alert as always. I do, she replied. They did not ask questions. Rin walked closer, standing beside her. I've fought in noise for too long, he said. Now, I want to listen. Vila glanced at him. You won the greatest war of our time. Why are you wasting your reward on me? He shrugged. I don't think it's a waste. When I read about your people, your sisters were everywhere, but you were missing from every record. That made me curious. Why would an empire hide a princess? Vila turned back to the pool. The water reflected the sky, still and soft. They didn't hide me, she said. They just didn't care. That's worse, Rin said quietly. Silence followed, but not an uncomfortable one. After a moment, Vila spoke again. When I was younger, I fixed an old machine in the palace basement. It was broken for over 100 years. No one noticed. I activated it, and the walls lit up with old star maps. My father came, saw it, and told me to shut it down. He said it was a dead past, not a future. Rin listened closely. But you remembered it, he said. I did, Vila nodded. Because in that moment, I realized I cared about things no one else did. She turned to him. And you're the first person who has ever asked why. Rin smiled. Then I think I made the right choice. That evening, they sat under a wide tree near the palace edge. Rin told her stories from the battlefield, not just fights, but people he had met. Soldiers who sang to keep fear away, engineers who built weapons out of broken farming tools. Vela listened without interrupting. Then she said, You're not like the humans I studied. They were all shown as loud, wild, and always ready for war. Some are, Rin agreed. But most of us just want to live. We fought because we had no other choice. Vila looked at the stars above. My people were taught to rule, not to understand. She hesitated, then added, But I learned to listen. When I found something hidden in our vaults, I didn't tell anyone. What did you find? Rin asked. She looked at him with a strange seriousness. Something buried deep. Something old. I can't explain yet, but I think you were meant to find me. Before Rin could ask more, a sharp sound rang in the air. A Zarnic guard rushed into the garden. Princess, he said, bowing quickly. Your presence is required in the Hall of Mirrors. Now, Vila frowned. That hall was only used for private council talks. She stood and nodded. I must go. Please wait for me, she said to Rin. He nodded. I'll be here, inside the Hall of Mirrors. Vila found 3 Zarnik nobles waiting. One was High Minister Zerl, an old advisor of her father. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. You've been spending time with the human, he said. More than expected. He asked to meet me, Vila replied simply. He is dangerous, Zerl said. Humans do not understand balance. They fight until they own everything. He fought to end a war you started, Vila said softly. Zerl stepped closer. You are not to trust him. Do not reveal anything about our hidden knowledge. If you do, you risk the future of our kind. I have kept secrets all my life, she said. I don't need your warning. Zerl's eyes narrowed. Remember your place, child. But Vila no longer felt like a child. Not after meeting someone who treated her as more. She left the hall with her heart beating faster. For the first time, she felt the weight of choice. Later that night, she returned to the garden. Rune was waiting, looking at the stars. She sat beside him. There are things I want to show you, she said. But you must promise to listen, not just with your ears, but with your mind. I do, Rune said, and with my heart too. Vila touched her wrist. A faint line of light spread across her skin. Shapes appeared, glowing and moving symbols in the air. Not just art, but data. Rune stared, amazed. What is that? He whispered. Veela looked at him. A secret only I carry. And now, I want to share it with you. The garden was quiet as Vila sat beside Rune. A soft wind moved through the trees. But both of them were still. The glowing lines on her skin lit up the space between them. They were not just lights. They were symbols, shapes, and flowing data. They moved slowly, like a river of language wrapped around her arms. Rune watched closely. He had seen many strange things in the war, but never something like this. These glowing marks were not part of a machine or a weapon. They were alive, growing from inside her body. It was like her skin was a living map. What is this? Rune asked quietly. Vela didn't look at him. Her eyes were on the lights. It is an old gift, or maybe a curse. My ancestors called it the Path of Flame. But it is not fire. It is code. Very old, very strong, hidden inside our royal bloodline. Does anyone else have it? He asked. No, she said. Not anymore. I am the last. She touched one of the symbols on her arm. The light changed, forming a shape in the air. It looked like a star system with a single planet marked in red. It hovered in front of them for a few seconds before fading away. I found this when I was a child, Vila said. When I activated that old machine I told you about, the marks on my skin woke up. They had been quiet before, but the machine triggered them. Since then, they've been changing. Do the others know? Rune asked. No, I hid it from my family. If they knew, they would have locked me away, or worse, they would have tried to use it. Rune nodded slowly. He could feel the importance of what she was telling him. This was not a small secret. This was something that could change many things. That planet, he said. The one in red. What's there? Vila looked at him. Her voice was calm, but strong. It's the entrance to the core archive, a vault of knowledge hidden by the first Zarnik kings. Stories say it holds data from ancient races, cures, weapons, lost science, even truths about the galaxy we've forgotten. Rune's mind filled with questions. If such a place really existed, why had no one found it? Why was she the only one with the key? The archive was sealed by a code, Vila continued. That code runs through my body. I can open it, but I don't know what's inside. No one has entered it for thousands of years. Rune looked at her glowing arms again. You could open something people would kill for. Vila nodded. That is why I stayed silent. Power draws danger. My family never looked at me because they saw nothing in me. That gave me safety. But now, with the war over, I don't know how long I can stay hidden. She looked into his eyes. That's why I'm telling you. Rune didn't speak right away. He thought about everything he had seen. He thought about the battles, the soldiers who died, the weapons that destroyed cities. If this archive held power like Vila described, then the wrong hands could restart the war. We can't ignore this, he said finally. But we can't tell the councils either. Not yet. They will fight over it, Vila nodded. Then what do we do? We go there, Ren said. We find it, together. Her eyes widened slightly. You want to come with me? I didn't choose you to leave you behind, Ren said. I chose you because I believed there was something more, and now I know I was right. For the first time in many years, Vila smiled. It was a small smile, but real. I will need time to prepare, she said. The path is not simple. The symbols must be followed in order. The code must guide the way. If we get even one part wrong, the gate will not open. Ren stood up. Then we'll do it right. When do we leave? 3 days, Vila said. We will need to travel without alerting the palace or the council. Ren agreed. I know how to move. In silence, I'll get us a ship. In the days that followed, Vila returned to her hidden room beneath the palace. Inside was a round chamber filled with old tools and glowing screens. This was her secret world, where she had studied the marks on her body and learned how to read. The code. She pressed her hand against the wall, and a hidden drawer opened. Inside were metal rings, wires, and a long silver staff. She placed the rings on her arms. They helped control the signals from the code. The staff was not a weapon, but a reader. It could connect her to old systems and unlock machines buried in time. At the same time, Ren moved through the outer city in disguise. He met an old friend, a pilot named Joro, who owed him a favor. Joro gave him a small ship, fast and quiet, perfect for leaving without attention. On the third night, Vila and Ren met at the garden gate. She wore a plain robe with a cloak over her head. Her staff was hidden in a long bag. Ren carried only a small pack with supplies. Are you ready? He asked. Vela nodded. Yes. They moved through the shadows and reached the landing pad. The ship waited like a sleeping bird. They entered quietly, and Ren started the engines. As the ship lifted into the sky, the palace lights grew smaller behind them. Ahead, the stars waited. Vela sat beside him, her hands resting calmly. The marks on her skin glowed softly. We are heading to a place forgotten by time, she said. If we find the archive, it could change everything. Ren looked at her. Then let's make sure it changes things for the better. And together, they flew into the unknown. The stars passed quietly outside the ship's windows as Ren guided it through deep space. The ship was small but fast, built for stealth. No patrols followed them. No signals tracked them. It was as if they had vanished from the galaxy. Princess Vila sat in the co-pilot seat, watching the data on her screen. The glowing lines on her arms moved slowly, guiding their path. The ancient code inside her body had given them the location of a hidden planet, a dead world once ruled by the first Zarnik kings. That world now held the entrance to the core archive. Ren looked at her. How far? Vila touched one of the marks on her arm. A blue light formed in the air, showing a star map. To jumps left, she said. Then we reached the system. From there, we must land near the old royal ruins. Ren nodded. No signs of pursuit so far. But Vila looked uneasy. That may change. She was right. Far across space, on a large station orbiting the moon of Balcor, a group of beings watched the path of Ren's ship. They were not part of the council. They were not part of any known army. They were secret watchers. They called themselves the Archive Seekers. Their leader, Vask, was once a Zarnik general. He had vanished after the war ended, but his mind was sharp and his will strong. He believed the archive belonged to no one but him, a shadow-faced scout. Enter the room. The girl has activated the code. Vask stood. His armor was dark with sharp lines across his shoulders. His eyes burned with interest. She found a guide, he said. The human soldier, yes? The scout replied. They traveled to the old world. Vask smiled. Then we will follow. Ready the ship. They will lead us to the gate, and we will take the key from them on their way to the dead planet. Ren and Vila landed on a small moon base to collect supplies. The place was old, dusty, and mostly forgotten. A few merchants lived there, selling parts, fuel, and food, while Vila stayed hidden on the ship. Ren stepped into the main station to buy what they needed. He kept his hood low and his voice quiet, but as he spoke to a shopkeeper, He noticed a stranger standing nearby. One had a metal arm. The other had a scar across his face. Both kept looking in his direction. Ren finished the deal quickly and left the station. As he walked back to the ship, he moved faster. His hand rested near his side, ready to draw his weapon if needed. When he reached the ship, Vila opened the ramp. She saw the look on his face. "What happened?" she asked. "Someone was watching," Ren said. "I don't think they were regular traders." Vila touched the panel beside her. The ship closed behind them and lifted off quickly. "They might know where we're going," she said. "Then we move faster," Ren replied. They reached the target system 12 hours later. The planet below was gray and lifeless. Thick clouds floated in the sky, and the ground was full of cracks and dry rock. But Vila was sure this was the place. "The archive is deep underground," she said, "hidden below the ruins of the old Zornik Palace." They landed the ship near a mountain base. Vila stepped out first. She held her silver staff, and the glowing marks on her skin lit the path in front of her. Ren followed, weapon in hand, eyes sharp. The palace ruins were broken and silent. Tall walls had fallen long ago. The floor was covered in dust and bones. Vila led them to a stone gate near the cliffside. Strange symbols were carved across it. She raised her arm, and the glowing lines moved across her skin, matching the carvings. On the gate trembled, and a deep sound came from below. Ren stepped back as the gate opened slowly. A long stairway appeared, leading into the darkness. Vila looked at him. "Are you ready?" Ren smiled slightly. "Always." They walked down the steps, one by one, into the deep earth dot inside the underground chamber. The air was cool and still. Blue lights lit up the walls as they passed. Strange machines rested against the stone, silent but not dead. Vila's staff glowed brighter as they moved forward. They reached a large door made of black metal. It had no handles, no locks, only a flat surface with ancient writing. "This is it," Vila said. "The final gate. Once we open it, the archive will be revealed." Before she could raise her hand, a loud blast shook the chamber. Ren turned. Fast, weapon raised. From the entrance behind them, shadows moved. A voice echoed through the hall. "Thank you for leading us here." Vast stepped out from the dark, followed by 5 armed hunters. Their armor was sharp and heavy, and their eyes cold. Vila stood firm. "How did you find us?" "You lit the path," Vast said. "We only had to follow your light." Ren stepped in front of her. "You're not getting anything from her." Vast smiled. "You're brave, human, but you are alone." Ren looked around. He had faced worse, but he knew this fight would not be easy. "We're not alone," Vila said. She touched her staff to the ground. The floor lit up, and energy flowed across the walls. From the side chambers, old machines rose. Ancient Zarnik guardians, hidden for centuries, activated one by one. Their eyes glowed, and weapons extended from their arms. Vast stepped back. Surprised. Vela raised her hand. "You followed us, but this place still listens to me." Ren smiled. "Now you see why I chose her." The guardians moved forward, surrounding the hunters. Vast growled. "This isn't over." He and his men turned and fled, disappearing into the shadows again. The chamber grew quiet once more. Ren turned to Vila. "That was a good trick." Vila lowered her staff. "It wasn't a trick. It was my right." They faced the final gate again. This time, no one stood in their way. Vela touched the surface with her palm. The door opened. A light brighter than any star filled the chamber. The archive had awakened. The door to the core archive opened with a soft hum. Light poured out from inside, warm and steady. It was not the light of fire or machines. It felt alive. It lit up the stone walls, the old symbols, and the faces of Ren and Vila as they stepped forward. They entered a wide chamber. The floor was smooth, covered in glowing lines. The ceiling above them moved slowly like it was breathing. Strange orbs floated in the air, each showing shapes, stars, maps, and languages long forgotten. Vila looked around with wonder in her eyes. Her hand reached out and touched one of the orbs. It responded to her, showing a memory of a green planet, full of life and oceans. This is not just a vault, she whispered. It's a living memory of old worlds, removed carefully. His soldier's eyes studied the walls, alert for danger, but the place felt calm. There were no traps, no weapons pointed at them. Just knowledge. They walked deeper into the chamber. At the center stood a large pillar of light, spinning gently round it. Several small tables held items, books made of glowing glass, cubes filled with moving data. In a tall silver frame, Vila stepped toward the frame. As she got closer, the marks on her arms glowed brighter. The pillar reacted to her, and a new voice filled the chamber. "Welcome, heir of flame. You carry the key." The voice was not loud or harsh. It was soft, like wind in the trees. Vila stood still. "What are you?" "I am the archive," the voice replied. "A guide of truth. I hold the memory of 10,000 civilizations. I hold their hopes, their mistakes, and their creations." Ren stepped forward. "What do you offer us?" "Nothing unless you choose," the archive said. "Knowledge is a river. It can give life or it can destroy. Those who open the full archive must make a choice. The door will show you all. You must then decide what to keep and what to share." Vila looked at Ren. This is why they locked it away. Not because it was dangerous, but because the truth can change everything. Ren nodded. Some will want to use it as a weapon. Others will want to keep it for themselves. The council would fight over this, Vila said. My people would try to claim it. So would yours. Even those who mean well may not use it. Wisely, she looked back at the pillar. How do we choose? The archive answered. You must enter the circle of truth. There, your minds will be tested. You will see what may come. And then, you will decide. Ren looked at Vila. We came this far. We need to see it through. Vila gave a small nod. Together, the circle of truth was a ring of light near the base of the chamber. As soon as Ren and Vila stepped inside it, the world changed suddenly. They were not in the archive. They stood in a wide desert with stars above and fires in the distance. They were not alone. Around them stood people from many races, human, Zarnak, others unknown. Some were crying. Others were building. A few were fighting. The scene changed. Again, now they saw great cities rising, powered by clean energy, guided by wisdom from the past. Children ran through green fields. Spacecraft moved across the sky without fear. Then the vision turned dark. They saw the same knowledge used to build weapons too strong to control. They saw leaders hiding truth to gain power. They saw war starting again, this time with even greater tools of destruction. Vela stepped back. Her voice shook. It can go either way. Ren stood beside her. It depends on us. The light faded, and they were back in the chamber. The archive spoke. What do you choose? Vila looked at the silver frame. It now showed a control panel with many symbols. One would open everything. The other would only release parts, safe parts like medicine, water technology, and education systems. I don't want to choose alone, Vila said. Ren nodded. Then we choose together. He looked at the symbols. The galaxy is not ready for everything at once. If we give them too much, too fast, they may break it, Vila agreed. But if we give nothing, then we are no better than those who hit it, together. They touched the second symbol. The archive accepted their choice. Knowledge will be shared. It said, slowly, carefully, to all who seek peace, your path is chosen. You are now guardians. A new symbol appeared on Vila's wrist, one that was not there before. Ren felt a light touch his chest, and a mark shaped like a circle appeared on his shoulder. These signs will guide others to you. The archive said, teach with patience, share with care, return if the time comes to open more. The chamber began to dim, like it was going to sleep again. Vela looked around one last time. Thank you, she said. Ren placed his hand on her shoulder. Let's go. We've done what we came for. They returned to the ship in silence. Outside, the sky was dark. The dead planet remained still, unaware that its greatest secret had just awakened. As they lifted off, Vila sat beside Ren and stared out the window. Do you think we did the right thing? She asked. Ren smiled. I think we gave the galaxy a chance. That's more than most ever do. She turned to him. What happens now? He looked ahead. Now we return, but not as the same people who left. You're no longer the hidden princess. You're the guardian of the archive, and me? I'm just the soldier who believed in you. Vila smiled. That is enough for me. They flew off into the stars, leaving the quiet world behind, but in their hearts, they carried something brighter than any light, a choice, a truth, and hope. The journey back from the core archive was calm at first. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the ship moved silently through space. Ren sat at the controls, focused but thoughtful. Beside him, Princess Vila studied the glowing mark on her wrist, feeling its steady pulse like a new heartbeat. They had succeeded in opening the archive's door, choosing to share knowledge carefully. It was a victory, but one that brought new challenges. The galaxy was watching now. When they arrived at the human capital world, Ren received a message. It was from General Tolan, a respected leader who had fought alongside him in the war. The message was formal, but the tone felt urgent. Ren and Vila met General Tolan in a secure chamber. The general's sharp eyes studied Vila closely. Congratulations on your mission, he began. But I must warn you, not everyone agrees with the choice to share the archive slowly. Vila raised an eyebrow. Who opposes it? Tolan's face tightened. Some believe humans should control the knowledge entirely, that we should use it to ensure our power. Ren clenched his fists. That is not why we fought. The archive belongs to all. Tolan's voice hardened. That is idealistic and dangerous. You should be careful who you trust. Vila said quietly. We are aware. That night, as the city lights shimmered below their ship, Vila felt a shadow pass over her heart. Something was wrong. Ren noticed it too. What is it? Before she could answer, the ship's alarm sounded. A sudden jolt shook the cabin. Attack! Ren shouted, gripping the controls. Outside, several fast fighters appeared, firing plasma beams. They were well armed and coordinated. Pirates? Vila asked. Worse, Ren said. They know about the archive. The ship rocked as beams struck the hull. Ren pushed the engines to full power. Weaving through asteroid fields, Vela reached for her staff. The glowing marks on her arms flared. Bright. They want the archive for themselves, she said. We can't let them take it, Ren nodded. We'll fight. The battle was fierce. The small ship dodged and darted through space as Ren fired back with pulse lasers. Vila used her staff to activate hidden defenses, releasing energy fields that blocked incoming shots. One attacker managed to land a hit on the engine. The ship shook violently. We're losing power, Ren yelled. Vila's eyes scanned the control panels. I can help stabilize the core, but it will take time. Ren covered her as she worked. His fingers moved over the controls, firing at the enemy fighters. Suddenly, a voice crackled over the comms. It was General Tolan. Ren, stand down. This is an official mission to secure the archive. Ren's jaw tightened. You sent these fighters? Orders came from the council. Tolan replied. The archive cannot fall into the wrong hands. Vila's face hardened. They want to control it, not protect it. Ren made a quick decision. We're not giving up. We fight for the right to choose. With a burst of power, Vila finished repairing the engine. The ship surged forward, leaving most attackers behind. But one fighter closed in fast. Ren aimed carefully and fired. The fighter exploded in a flash. The alarms quieted. The stars were calm again. Vela looked at Ren. We survived because we trusted each other. He smiled tiredly. That's why I chose you. You're stronger than anyone believed. Back at the human capital, they warned the council about the attack and the betrayal. Many were shocked. Others were angry. Vila spoke before the assembly. Her voice was steady, filled with new strength. The archive is a gift and a responsibility. It is not a tool for power. It belongs to all races. We must protect it together. With honesty and respect, some members nodded. Others remained silent. Ren stood beside her, silent support in his eyes. Days later, a new council was formed. A group of leaders from many worlds, dedicated to guarding the archive fairly. Vila was named Guardian, a symbol of hope and balance. Ren stayed by her side, not as a soldier, but as her partner in a new mission. Together, they began to build a future where knowledge was not a weapon but a light, a future where even forgotten princesses could shine. The galaxy was changing. The wars that had lasted for centuries were beginning to fade into memory. The stars seemed quieter now, but there was a new energy of hope born from the choice of two unlikely heroes. Princess Vila, once the quiet and forgotten daughter of an empire, now stood tall as the guardian of the core archive. Her glowing marks shone softly beneath her simple robe. Beside her, Ren, the human soldier who had chosen her as his reward, watched the crowd gathered on the open field below. They stood on the capital world of the newly formed Galactic Council, a place where many races met to talk, decide, and build together. The archive had become a symbol of trust. It was no longer hidden away, but shared with care and wisdom. Vela looked at Ren. Do you think they are ready? Ren smiled. They must be, because we are ready to help. A soft breeze moved through the field, carrying the voices of the crowd. Leaders, scientists, teachers, and families had come to hear the first public sharing of the archive's knowledge. Today was a celebration, but also a promise. Vila stepped forward. Her voice was calm but strong. Long ago, our ancestors built this archive to protect knowledge. Knowledge that could save worlds or destroy them. For many years, it was hidden, locked away, and forgotten. Today, we open it again not as rulers, but as friends, together. We choose to share what will help us all grow in peace. The crowd cheered softly. It was not loud or wild. It was a quiet, deep cheer of hope. Ren stepped beside her. We fought a long war. Many lives were lost. But now, we fight a new battle, the battle for understanding and trust. Vila nodded, and we will face challenges. There will be those who want power and control. But the strength of many is greater than the strength of one. The crowd listened, and for the first time in a long time, they believed in something more than war. After the ceremony, Vila and Ren walked through the gardens of the capital. The stars above were clear and bright. Vela looked at her glowing marks. I never thought I would find a place where I belong. Ren smiled. You belong with those who see your true light, not those who only see the surface. She took his hand. Thank you for choosing me. He squeezed gently. You chose yourself. I only helped the path. They paused near a fountain where water danced in silver arcs. Vela said. There is still much to do. Yes, Ren agreed. But we have the greatest tool, the truth. They stood together in silence, feeling the peace they had fought so hard to find. Weeks passed. The archive grew. New teachers used its knowledge to heal old wounds. Engineers rebuilt broken worlds with new energy. Children learned histories that once were hidden. Vila worked with leaders of many races, helping them understand the responsibility of knowledge. Ren traveled to distant systems, sharing stories of courage and hope. One day, Vila received a message from an old friend, the captain of a distant fleet. They had found signs of an unknown threat beyond the edge of explored space. Vela studied the report carefully. The galaxy is still full of dangers. Ren looked at her. Then we will face them together. She smiled. Together. In the quiet moments, Vila often thought back to the day she first met Ren. How a human soldier chose the least admired princess as his reward. Not because she was a prize, but because he saw something no one else did. Their journey had begun with curiosity, grew with trust, and blossomed into something stronger than either had expected. Vila raised her hand, watching the glowing marks shift gently. They were no longer just a secret or key. They were a symbol of hope and courage. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown stars and new stories waiting to be told. And with the archive open and their hearts united, Vila and Ren were ready to face the future. A future where humanity and alien worlds stood side by side, not as enemies, but as friends. A future where the least admired could become the greatest light. A new dawn had come.